Ozark Car Crash Explained. This was the opening scene to the latest installment of the show, and it had everybody confused. So what does it mean? Well, let's jump in. Here is Ozark Car Crash Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Well, this was an interesting moment for certain. It was the opening 2 minutes of Season 4 Part 1, and a lot was said and a lot happened. We see the birds get into a car accident with the car flipping over and it being left on its roof. But everything that was said before helps us in framing whereabouts in the story this is and what exactly happened. As shortly after, it cut to present day and we proceeded with Part 1 of Season 4. So we know that this occurs in the future. The scene opens with the song Bring It On Home to Me by Sam Cooke being played in the car, with the volume being turned up shortly after Wendy mentions how much she loves his voice. I believe this is a subtle nod to the fact that the Bird family are most definitely going to be moving back to Chicago, and are close to being on their way home. I don't think this specific journey is them going home, but it's them enjoying the fact that they know that they're so close to that freedom based on the conversation we hear next. We see the conversation then turn to the fact that they're meeting with the FBI the next day, and they're being relatively cold with the birds at the moment, as they're used to them always being chilly. So we know that the mood between the birds and the FBI in that present moment is quite frosty. Wendy then goes on to say, well, they'll be there anyway, which I think can potentially allude to two different things. One, that the FBI will be at where they're attending, or she's alluding to the fact that either Harvey or Omar will be attending the meeting too, as I feel that line was written in a way that could mean one of two things. Either the subject she's talking about or something that she's only referring to as them. The birds then go on to say 48 more hours, which I think is referencing 2 days until they're done with the life that they're currently living in working with the FBI and the cartel, and they'll then be able to go back to living a relatively normal life. I did check the outfits at the end of Season 4 Part 1 Episode 7, to see if this was happening directly after Ruth was off in her car, but it only appears to be Jonah who's wearing the same clothes. So I think this could be positioned more towards, I'd imagine, the middle of the season, instead of at the start. Wendy moves on to say that she's calling the moving company in the afternoon, and Charlotte calls out that her and Jonah are already packed in a jokey, sarcastic way, and it gets called out for being inappropriate and too soon to reference it like that. This leads me to think that they haven't had time to pack and they're escaping something or someone back in the Ozark and have had to leave abruptly, and the moving company will be packing everything up. Charlotte calls out that she found an old stack of $100 bills at the Blue Cat wall and that she left it in there for somebody to find inside of a Bible. This is a subtle nod to Season 1 where distribution was taking place and went unsuspected inside of a Bible. It seems that they're hosting an event at the Bell, and they've managed to double the capacity to cater for all of the RSVPs that they've got. I feel this could mean that they're hosting a leaving event or a final event to show the change of management. Jonah is told that he doesn't have to go if he wants to. This is then when we hear the scream inside of the car and the truck coming towards them as Marty is looking in the opposite direction, leading to a huge crash taking place. It looked like a crash where I'd be surprised if they all managed to survive. On the verge of freedom, a freak accident. I feel this is the potential for one of the family members to not make it out alive. After all that they've been through in the past few years, it's the negligence when behind the wheel that could potentially claim one of their lives. Prior to the crash, we see Jonah now reunited with his family and being amicable, so they most definitely reconcile in the early part of the season. And we also see no Ruth, meaning that she could either potentially be dead or she could have moved away from the Ozark completely. There's a lot to take away and think about from those 2.5 minutes of footage alone, but I think something like what I mentioned could potentially be what's going to happen. We'll just have to wait and see. What do you think? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.